Have you ever scrolled past a success story and thought, wow, how did they do that so fast? Maybe it's an Etsy seller who went viral overnight, or a business that skyrocketed from 0 to 6 figures in just a few months. It's everywhere. These seemingly magical stories of people who just figured it out and suddenly it's raining money. And let's be honest, it's kind of tempting to believe in, right? Because if success can happen overnight for them, maybe, just maybe, you're just one lucky break away from your own big moment. But here's the thing. When you really study successful entrepreneurs, when you pull back the curtain on those overnight wins, you'll find that the story we've been sold, it's a myth. The truth is, success doesn't have a magic bullet. And that so-called viral product that made someone 20K in a single month has more to the story. Success is built in the unseen moments, the slow, messy middle that no one talks about. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to unpack where this obsession with overnight success comes from and why it's so easy to fall into the trap. What really happens behind the scenes of those viral wins and big business breakthroughs, and most importantly, how to reframe success and your approach to growing your business so that you don't fall into that trap of feeling behind and instead truly leverage the part of the journey that actually creates success and makes it inevitable. Let's dig in. Welcome to Thrive Anyway, the podcast for creative entrepreneurs with big dreams who know that success isn't a straight line. It's a beautifully messy journey. In case we haven't met yet, my name is Manny Dopozinski, a busy Midwest boy mom and recovering perfectionist who turned my creativity into multiple six-figure handmade and print-on-demand businesses, generating over $1 million in revenue along the way. From the big wins to the messy middles and all the lessons and laughs in between, we're here to show up, take action, and prove that no matter what life throws at you, you can thrive anyway. Let's get into it. Now let's be clear about something from the start. Dreaming big is a good thing. If you have a vision for your business and life, whether it's financial freedom, leaving your 9 to 5, creative fulfillment, or simply proving to yourself that you can do this, hold on to it. Having big goals is what keeps us moving forward. It's what fuels motivation, what pushes us to take action, and what makes this whole journey exciting. But here's where things get a little tricky. Somewhere along the way, we've stopped celebrating the process of success and started obsessing over the speed of success. Instead of asking, how do I build something sustainable? We ask, why is this not happening fast enough? And instead of focusing on getting better, we focus on getting there as quickly as possible, even if it means burning out or skipping some really important steps. Instead of trusting the process, we chase shortcut after shiny shortcut after shiny shortcut. And that mindset, it's not just unhelpful, it can be dangerous. Because when we expect success to happen fast, every little setback feels like failure. Every slow week feels like a reason to quit. And every win that isn't life-changing overnight feels like a waste of time. So why do we do this to ourselves? Why are we so addicted to the idea that success should be instant? Well, it really comes down to 3 deeply ingrained psychological and cultural forces, things that shape how we think, whether we realize it or not. First, we love a good story. Our brains are literally wired for transformation. We crave the Cinderella story, the zero to hero moment, the overnight breakthrough that changes everything. It's why we love those headlines that scream, how I went from 0 to 6 figures in just 6 months, or how I quit my 9 to 5 and built a thriving business overnight, or this one simple trick doubled my sales instantly. When we hear these stories, something deep inside us lights up, because if it happened for them, maybe it could happen for us too. There's actually a whole dopamine reaction that happens, and I'll save that for another episode. But behind this is what psychologists also call narrative bias. Our tendency to believe in stories that have a clear, dramatic arc. We love the beginning, we love the ending, but we tend to skip right over the middle, the part where the real work happens. Take any major success story, and I guarantee you that what looks like an overnight win was actually months, if not years, in the making. Think about an Olympic athlete standing on the podium, gold medal around their neck, right? What do we see? Gold, the win, the highlight reel, the moment of glory. What do we not see though? The years of training when no one was watching. The early morning workouts, the setbacks, the doubts, the sacrifices, the exhaustion, the injuries, and the moments they wanted to quit. Business is no different. Behind every seemingly instant success is an unglamorous middle filled with learning and failure and adjusting to discover what does work. Yet, when we scroll through Instagram, watch YouTube, or hear someone's success story, we want to believe in the magic moment of that overnight success story. But as I always say, hope is not a plan. Secondly, our culture is obsessed with shortcuts. If you look around, everything is designed to promise fast results. Lose 10 pounds in 10 days without dieting or exercise. Make money online fast, no experience needed. Or this one simple trick will 10x your business. It's everywhere. And it's not just marketing. It's the way we've been conditioned to think about success. We want things to be easy. We want the step-by-step blueprint. We want to believe that there's a hack, a secret formula that will speed up the results. And honestly, I get it, because the alternative, the idea that success actually requires time, consistency, and effort, isn't as exciting. It's easier to think, I just need to find the right strategy, rather than I am going to commit to doing the work for as long as it takes. But here's the reality that no one wants to talk about. There are no shortcuts to mastery. There is no hack for experience. And there is no one thing that will make you successful overnight. Have you ever heard of the 10,000 hour rule? It's an idea popularized by Malcolm Gladwell that to truly master anything, you need to put in around 10,000 hours of focused effort. Now, whether it's exactly 10,000 hours isn't the point. I'd like to think I've mastered things a little faster than that. But the point and the lesson behind it is that every skill, whether it's running a business, designing products, or marketing, requires time, repetition, and deliberate practice. But that's not what sells. It's not flashy enough. The illusion of effortlessness sells. The idea that success should be fast, easy, and guaranteed sells. And that's why so many entrepreneurs get discouraged when things don't take off right away. They assume something is wrong with them, when in reality, they're just in the normal, messy middle of the process. The truth, there is no magic formula. There is no guaranteed fast track. There is only showing up, learning, and refining over and over and over again. And the sooner we accept that, the sooner we can stop chasing all those shortcuts and start building something real and something meaningful. And finally, at the heart of a lot of this is social media. Social media warps our perception of reality. But let's be honest, social media is a highlight reel, and oftentimes not real life, or at least not the whole story, right? Every day, we're bombarded with big wins, viral moments, flashy milestones, and dollar signs everywhere. And when that's all we see, it warps our perception of what's normal. We start believing that success should be fast and effortless because that's all we're exposed to, and that's what grabs our attention. Every social media expert worth their salt will tell you that you need a good hook for your post or your video. Guess what kind of hook attracts the most attention? But here's what we don't see in those posts: the years of struggle before that viral moment, the failed launches that never made it to Instagram, the anxiety, self-doubt, and behind the scenes work that built the success we're now seeing. We compare our messy middle to someone else's highlight reel, and it makes us feel like we're failing. But do you want to know the secret reality behind all of these? That person with the six-figure month, they had to endure months of zero sales at some point before that. That person with the bestseller, they designed hundreds of products that never took off. That overnight success story, it was years in the making. You just didn't see it. And if we can internalize that, we can stop feeling like we're behind just because our journey doesn't look as effortless as someone else's. Let me share a quick story with you. My handmade business had a turning point back in 2019, and I went from a growing business selling on Etsy and my own website to over 400 orders in one weekend. I posted in my stories about the piles of shipping boxes and the sea of packing materials that I was swimming in and the rows and rows of serum bottles that I was filling. Overnight, right? Wrong. This business had actually started in 2017. Early in my journey, I decided to boldly send samples of some of my products to an influencer that I had been following for years in the beauty industry. She used to do product roundups on her YouTube, and so I thought, why not? At the time, I thought I had nailed it. I thought I had done all the right things with this product. I was so confident in what I was sending her. But looking back now, those first samples were embarrassing, to say the least. The packaging looked amateur, and the formula was not refined. I wasn't even really selling all that many on my Etsy shop either. I don't even think they had a real label on them. Needless to say, I didn't even get a response. Just crickets. I briefly felt like a failure when day after day passed, waiting to see if I'd hear from her and nothing happening. But it honestly fueled me to try again. So I didn't stop. I went back to the product. I studied the industry and similar successful products. I asked myself hard questions. What wasn't working? What needed to change? And it became super clear why there was zero interest in mine when compared to what was actually selling. I adjusted the formula. I completely overhauled the packaging to make it look more professional and elevated. I went through several iterations of similar products, focusing on making each one just a little bit better than the last. I kept learning, refining, and testing. And then after months of hard work, I sent another sample to the same influencer. This time, everything was different. A few weeks later, sitting in my HR office, my phone started going nuts. My shop was blowing up with cha-chings, and I couldn't figure out why. On a hunch, I checked out the latest video of the influencer, and sure enough, there was my product. There was my business name showing up on her video as a product favorite. I ended up receiving more than 400 orders that weekend and a steady flow of customers that are still with me today, years later. It was super cool and the first of many great moments in my handmade business. But here's the thing, that success to everyone else appeared to be overnight. Because what no one saw, other than maybe my husband, was the failure and endless trial and error that led to that moment. And it never would have happened if I hadn't been willing to focus on moving forward and making continuous improvements. It was persistence, resilience, and a willingness to learn from my own mistakes that made that success possible. The same is true for the print-on-demand world, which is where a lot of people know me from. It's filled with videos highlighting the next viral niche or the next product to make you 10K this month. It's catchy, right? And it's not that they're categorically wrong or that you won't make money in a niche or with a product. But when you dig deeper, it's perpetuating this not so subtle undertone that feeds into the myth of overnight success and our obsession with virality. It implies that your big break, your game-changing moment, is just one trick away. And while that sounds exciting, it can be incredibly misleading and even harmful if that's where you hang your hopes, that all you need is this one thing. Imagine this for yourself. You've been working tirelessly on design after design, listing after listing, with nothing hitting the mark. You're questioning everything, your niche, your creativity, even your decision to start this business. And then, out of nowhere, you upload a design, and suddenly it takes off. Cha-chings are rolling in. Maybe it gets shared on social media, or an influencer picks it up, or the Etsy algorithm simply graces you with its presence. It feels like magic, like the universe finally threw you a bone. But here's the thing no one talks about. It wasn't magic. That bestseller, it wasn't born in isolation. It was born out of the work you've been putting in all along. It's the result of every failed design that came before it, every moment you spent learning your audience, every adjustment to your SEO, and every ounce of persistence you summoned when you wanted to give up. What if I told you that without those earlier designs, the ones that didn't sell, you wouldn't have created the bestseller? Because those failures weren't failures at all. They were stepping stones. They taught you something. Maybe they helped you refine your style or understand your ideal customer. Maybe they pushed you to research trends or experiment with different color palettes. Whatever it was, those small, seemingly insignificant actions built the foundation of your success. Yes, it might take just one design to blow up, but it's every design that came before it that makes that moment possible. There's a concept in psychology called the iceberg illusion, and it's so fitting here. We see the success on top, the bestseller, the viral moment, the headline-worthy story. But just below the surface, there's this massive foundation of effort, consistency, and persistence that no one sees, but it's keeping the rest afloat. It's unsexy. It's the hours spent learning designs, the late nights researching niches and figuring out why something didn't work. But that's where the real magic is actually happening. We need to be able to find the joy and the excitement in the process, not just the illusion. One of my favorite analogies, whenever I hear about overnight success and unrealistic expectations, I think about the process of getting fit. You don't walk into a gym on day one with no other training, pick up a few weights, and then go step on the scale and ask why you haven't lost your 10 pounds yet. No, that would be ridiculous, right? Which makes expecting to become an overnight success in just about anything else just as ridiculous. And that's the point. Success isn't about one big break. It's about the small actions you take every single day. It's about building momentum and resilience, starting small, building consistency, and nurturing exponential growth. Every failure, every adjustment, every lesson, it all builds towards that pivotal moment. But it only happens if you're willing to keep going, even when the process gets hard and the results aren't immediate. So then, after all this, how do we reframe success and our approach to growing a business? How do we shift our mindset so that we don't fall into the trap of feeling behind? How do we stop chasing fast results and start leveraging the part of the journey that actually creates success? Because here's the thing, when you redefine success, you make success inevitable. And when you make success inevitable, you stop waiting for permission to feel successful. You stop tying your worth to unpredictable results. You stop doubting yourself every time something takes longer than you expected, and you actually start enjoying the process. Because here's the thing most entrepreneurs don't realize. The way you measure success directly impacts how you feel about your business. Now, as I said earlier, I'm not saying don't have big dreams, but if success is only about hitting big milestones, your first viral product, your first 10K a month, your first six-figure year, then every moment that doesn't feel huge or viral feels like a failure. And that's a miserable way to build a business. Because let's be real, those big milestones and dreams are exciting, but they aren't what makes success inevitable. What makes success inevitable and what makes big results possible is what happens in between. The daily actions that build momentum, the adjustments you make when something isn't working, the persistence to keep going even when it feels like nothing is happening. And that's where joy comes in. When you shift your definition of success from big external wins to daily internal progress, everything changes. Instead of constantly wondering, why am I not there yet? You start asking, did I take a step forward today? Did I take the action that I said I would to reach my goals and definition of success, not somebody else's? Instead of feeling powerless because your sales aren't where social media said they would be, you feel empowered because you know you're taking consistent strategic action. Instead of feeling discouraged by slow weeks, you feel confident because you're not just hoping for success, you're actively building it. And that shift, that's what makes the process enjoyable instead of exhausting. So, how then do we measure success in a way that actually keeps us moving forward? I want you to focus on the 3 cornerstones that make success inevitable: consistency, adaptability, and resilience. Let's break them down. First, consistency. This is the key to sustainable progress. If success is built over time, then the biggest predictor of success is your ability to keep taking action, especially when it's not exciting. Consistency means that you show up regularly, whether that's listing new products, improving designs, or building a social media presence. Consistency means that you stick to measurable, process-based goals, like uploading X number of listings a week or spending 30 minutes refining your SEO. Consistency means that you focus on the inputs that lead to results, the things you control, rather than obsessing over the results themselves or things you can't directly control. What you do daily matters more than what you do occasionally. When you know that every action you take is compounding over time, you no longer feel like success is random. You don't feel as helpless or stuck. You feel capable and in control. And when you feel in control, you actually start to enjoy the process instead of rushing through it. But here's the key. Consistency alone is not enough. Because what if you're being consistent with the wrong things? That's where adaptability comes in. Adaptability is the key to getting unstuck. If consistency is about taking action, then adaptability is about making sure you're taking the right action. Because let's be real, if something isn't working, simply doing more of it won't magically turn things around. Adaptability is your ability to track what's working and what's not so that you can make informed decisions about your business. It's your ability to adjust your approach, whether that's experimenting with new products, refining your designs, changing out for a different software, or shifting your target audience. And it's your ability to recognize the difference between something that just needs more time and something that truly isn't working. And this is where so many entrepreneurs get stuck. So lean in and pay attention. Here's what I see all the time, especially on Etsy. An Etsy seller launches their first shop, puts up some listings, and waits for the cha-chings to roll in. But when the sales don't happen right away, they assume something is fundamentally wrong. So they scrap everything and start over. New niche, new shop, new branding. Except it still doesn't work. So they do it again and again. And each time, they're not actually fixing the problem. They're just repeating the same mistakes in a different setting. They never pause to analyze what was working, and they never take the time to refine their approach. They keep starting over instead of adjusting what they already have. And I get it. When something isn't working, starting fresh feels easier than facing the discomfort of adapting. But here's the truth. Real success isn't about starting over every time you don't see instant results. It's about learning, refining, and iterating. That's what got me to where I am today. Remember that handmade product of mine that bombed at first? I had several of those. Or how about the hundreds of listings I created before finding the ones that led to an almost 100K month in my print-on-demand shop? I didn't get there by throwing in the towel every time something didn't work. I got there by paying attention, making small adjustments, and staying in motion. Think of it like learning to ride a bike for the first time as a kid. The first time you try, you're wobbly. You probably tip over, you scrape your knee, you feel awkward. And if you were like me as a kid, maybe you had a dramatic moment where you threw your bike down in frustration, convinced you'd never get it. But you didn't quit. You adjusted. You figured out how to shift your balance. You learned how to push off with confidence. You steadied yourself, focused, and kept pedaling. And then one day, Without even thinking about it, the training wheels come off and you are riding effortlessly. Wind in your hair, smiling, enjoying the ride. The same thing applies to your business. Every wobble, every slow sales period, every product that flops, every design that doesn't hit is just part of learning how to balance. Every adjustment makes you stronger, but only if you're willing to learn along the way. And when you shift your mindset from I failed to I'm learning, suddenly the process becomes much more exciting and less frustrating, because business isn't about finding the perfect formula from day one. It's about regularly testing, adjusting, refining, and improving. That's how you build something that lasts. So, what does adaptability actually look like in your business? Instead of feeling stuck, turn that into curiosity. Instead of feeling discouraged, ask yourself, where can I take action and make small changes? Instead of wondering if you're failing, focus on what your results are teaching you about what to do next. And sometimes a lack of results is a result in and of itself. That shift from frustration to curiosity, from discouragement to intentional action, is where joy comes back into the picture. Because when you stop seeing slow progress as a setback and you start seeing it as proof that you're growing, business becomes so much more rewarding. But here's the thing, because there is a catch. Adaptability only works if you have the mental endurance to keep going. And that's where resilience comes in. Adaptability is your ability to adjust, but resilience is the grit to keep adjusting. Here's the part no one likes to hear. Success isn't about taking the right actions. It's about being willing to keep going even when it's hard, especially while you are still figuring out the right actions. Because here's the reality. There will be slow seasons and seasons that just downright suck. There will be products that don't sell. There will be days when it feels like everything is going wrong. There will be moments when you feel like nothing is working. And those moments, they are the exact moments where a lot of people walk away. But the entrepreneurs who actually succeed, they see those moments as normal, temporary, and part of the process. They learn to not panic when sales dip or things just don't work that day. They get strategic and start brainstorming. They avoid taking failure personally. They take it as data. And they don't quit when progress is slow. They trust that momentum is building, even when they can't see it yet. Now, let's be real for a second. I'm not here to tell you that every moment of this journey will feel like joy, or that you will turn every single setback into a win. One day, I will tell you the true story about the squirrel that ate its way into a shipping box on my porch and proceeded to eat part of a handmade order, which, by the way, was not food. Nobody was winning that day except for the squirrel. So hear me when I say that there are things you can't plan for and that will derail your day. I've got all the stories for you. But the point is, you're allowed to feel frustrated. You're allowed to have bad days. You're allowed to wake up some mornings thinking, why am I even doing this? That does not mean you're not resilient. It means you're human. Building something meaningful is hard. There are days when it's fun and exciting, but there are also days when it feels like you're just trudging through the mud. That frustration, that self-doubt, that moment where you just don't feel like it, that's part of the process. Feeling discouraged doesn't mean you should quit. It means you care. Hitting a roadblock doesn't mean you're not cut out for this. It means you're learning. And not loving every single step doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It just means you're in it for the long haul. Because here's the truth. Even the most successful people have bad days. The difference, they don't let those bad days define their entire journey. Building resilience means that instead of quitting when things get hard, you take a step back, adjust, and come back stronger. You give yourself grace and rest instead of guilt or quitting. And you keep moving forward, even if that means taking just one small step at a time. So if you're in a rough patch right now, know that it's temporary. One bad day or week or even month doesn't erase all the progress you've made. What matters is that you don't let the hard moments convince you that you're not meant for this or that you're not capable of achieving success. Because if you can sit with the discomfort and work through the frustration and keep going anyway, that's where real success is built. And when you have that kind of resilience, you tone down the emotional roller coaster of business. You quiet the questioning of yourself every time you hit a setback. And you start trusting that success is already in motion, even when you can't see it yet. Here's the bottom line. Consistency creates progress. Adaptability makes sure that progress is in the right direction. And resilience keeps you moving forward, even when success isn't always obvious or overnight. Because success isn't about having it all figured out from the start. It's about staying in motion long enough to figure it out along the way. If you focus on these three things, success isn't a matter of luck. It's inevitable because you're not just waiting for success to happen, you're actively creating it every single day. So if you've been feeling stuck, discouraged, or behind, ask yourself, am I focusing on consistency, adaptability, and resilience? Am I tracking progress in ways that I can actually control? And am I treating this as a long game, or am I expecting overnight results? Because when you reframe success this way, everything shifts. Success stops feeling like a finish line you're chasing, and it starts feeling like something you're building every single day. And that's how you thrive anyway. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Thrive Anyway. If you found today's conversation helpful, I'd love for you to share it with your favorite business bestie or leave a review on your favorite podcast platform wherever you're tuning in. Your support helps me reach more entrepreneurs just like you. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'll be back in the next one with more tips, stories, and encouragement. Until then, keep showing up, keep taking action, and keep choosing to thrive anyway.